Hi everyone, I'm Rose and I'm from Minerva. Today's video will be about the Atelier Brunette collection of fabrics. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section below, and all the links to the patterns and the fabrics you will find in the description box. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll begin with a range of crepe fabrics, and here I have the Dune, the Seed, the Canopy, the Sunset and the Plain. The Dune fabric here is 100% viscose, it's non-stretch and it's a medium weight fabric. The background colour of the Dune fabric I have here is a dark sage green, and the pattern is little white dots with terracotta grass motifs. Up close to the weave you'll be able to see the texture within the fabric. As the pattern of the Dune fabric is small and close together, you can get away with not pattern matching your seams. It's an opaque fabric, there'll be no need to line unless your pattern recommends you do. The sewing pattern that would suit this fabric well would be the Simplicity 8875. It's a wrap dress pattern, and the ruffles you could use a plain fabric such as the viscose we have coming up in a moment as a contrast element. I also think this Dune fabric would be very suitable to men's shirts and attire. When you're sewing with this material, you want a nice sharp needle, and a nice option for this one particularly is to, if you were doing a pattern that you could use top stitching on, is to pick up the colour of the pattern in the fabric and use that as top stitching. It would just add a nice contrast and element and really highlight your stitching. So the next fabric we have, which I absolutely adore, is the Sunset fabric. It's 100% cotton, and printed on it has these lovely metallic little sun rays. It's quite a lightweight fabric and is slightly see-through, so if you were making something that you were going to wear outside or in the day, you might want to add a lining to it. Here's an up-close shot of the metallic print of this fabric. You can also see the translucency of the cotton. It really is a delicate fabric with an open weave. This is a good fabric to use with a sewing pattern that has a few elements such as cuffs, collars and pockets. Because the pattern is not close together, you don't need to worry about pattern matching this fabric. Choose a cotton thread to sew this with, and again, like the Dune fabric, if you are confident sewing with metallic thread, you could top stitch your sewing project with metallic thread. Whilst the cotton makes it soft, it does have a slightly more textured or crinkly feel to it than, say, the viscose. It might be something you need to be aware about if you're looking more for floaty drape rather than a crisper texture. Now we come on to the seed fabric in this collection, and if you want a fabric that is nice and drapey, then this is perfect for that. In the midnight blue, it has a pattern of a light, really light pink and little gold dots. The pattern of this fabric takes inspiration from delicate seeds you may plant in your garden. The dots and adjusted dots are sprinkled over the plain background, in this case a gorgeous deep blue called Night. You can see it has a slightly embossed crepe, giving it a delicate and supple texture which just adds another dimension to the pattern. It's made from 100% lens-in eco-viscose fibres, which means it is eco-friendly to the planet. It's free from harmful substances, and the manufacturing process has been adapted to seriously reduce the environmental impact that the other fabrics may have on the environment. It makes it a fabulous choice for eco-conscious sewers. This is the Canopy fabric, and if you're looking for something that is nice and bold and will give a statement, then this is perfect for it. It's made from 100% viscose and it has a slight sheen to it. It's not overly shiny, but it's a bit different from, say, the Dune fabric where it's a little bit more matte. Like the Dune, you can see the characteristics of a crepe while in this fabric. On this colour, which is the white, the print is made up of white circles on a pink salmon background, and printed on are these tropical looking leaves in mustard ochre yellow. The subtle sheen adds a different appearance, so as instead of being matte in look, it instead picks up the light and almost shimmers. The True Bias camisole top would be a wonderful match for this fabric and print. It's an easy pattern to sew, so it's ideal for beginners, but it's also a pattern that you can repeat again and again for different materials. For bold printed fabrics like Canopy and Granito that we'll come to later, the True Bias top really does show off the prints and textures of the fabric well. It's not a see-through fabric, so it doesn't need to be lined, and it's perfect for those single layer garments. However, it does fray really quite easily, so when you're sewing a garment you want to make sure that you seam finish everything as much as you can. Personally, for a material like this, I would French seam. Last but not least, we have the plain crepe fabric. It's made from 100% viscose and it has this most luxurious subtle sheen to it, so it's not overpowering like, say, satin, but it's not matte either. So if you're looking for something that's going to catch light, then this is perfect for it. I'm just going to show you what I mean about the shine of this fabric. You can see here as I throw it onto my dress form how it falls and ripples like a fine silk when it hits the dress form. Imagine this as an evening dress such as the Vogue sewing pattern 1616. Now, I'm the first to admit that ironing isn't the most enjoyable task when it comes to sewing. However, I could quite happily iron this fabric all day long. It doesn't crease easily, but when you do get the odd crease, it's very easily ironed out on a low setting. Remember to wash all your fabrics before use. You'll want to do this to pre-shrink the fabric and make sure there will be no dye transfer. When sewing this material, again, use a nice sharp needle, and if you do need interfacing, make sure it's the correct weight for this particular material. Because it's quite soft and silky and drapey, it might be wise to start with a small sewing project just to see how you get on. Something like a scrunchie or a hairband. I have two fabrics here and both are called Dobby fabrics. A Dobby fabric is characterised by small dots or a geometric pattern that is woven into the fabric. This one here is the plain. I have it here in the colour called Night, which is a very dark blue to black sort of colour. It's made from 100% viscose, it's non-stretch, and it's classed as a lightweight to medium weight fabric. I would use this for blouses, shorts maybe, and even, say, a lining for a jacket, for a tailored jacket. Here you can really see the texture and the woven dots within the fabric. They subtly pick up the light more than the background colour, so it's not overpowering, but it is a nice added interest to the fabric. The next fabric is the pattern fabric of the two. Again, it's characterised by the small woven dots you can see in the fabric. It's 100% viscose, non-stretch, and it's classed again as a light to medium weight fabric. A special fabric is the posy. The little woven in dots add such character to the fabric, and it is offset beautifully by the bold and eye-catching print. This is a fabric that combines subtlety in the dot weave and vivaciousness, the bold print, in one to make a very unique fabric. I would use this for, say, shorts or a skirt, but again it would make a lovely contrast lining for a jacket. It's a bit more crisper than the plain Dobby fabric, so whatever you're making, make sure that it doesn't need a nice soft drape. Just to show you these two fabrics next door to each other, you can see how the posy fabric is a lot more crisper and matter in appearance and texture than the plain Dobby fabric, which is a little bit more softer. Sewing with this material will be easier than, say, sewing with a shiny fabric or something with a sheen, because it's got that matter and crispier feel to it. You will also need to think, because it's a pattern fabric, whether you want to pattern match whatever garment it is you're sewing. Next we have the gauze fabrics, and we have an ordinary gauze and a double gauze here. This one's the ordinary gauze. It's made from 100% cotton, and the pattern itself I would describe as a 70s pattern, rather delicate. I would use this mostly for things like shirts and blouses, something with a little extra flair like a ruffle. As well as garments, the petal fabric could also be used for home decorations such as cushions and pillows. In this colour, its pattern of petals will add a floral touch to your home in the subtle shades of light terracotta and green. Perhaps adding a large button or two will make an interesting statement set of cushions. It's a really lightweight material. You won't necessarily need to line it though, because it's not that see-through. Because it's cotton, it's very crisp, very lightweight, and really soft against the skin. Next we have the double gauze material called Stardust. I have it here in cream with the little gold embroidered dots. It's 100% cotton again, so it's really nice and soft against your skin, and it does have a more sturdier feel to it than, say, the petal, which is a single gauze. I would use this for shorts and skirts and blouses, but bearing in mind it is slightly heavier than the single gauze. Much like the sunburst fabric, this is delicate fabric that is less bold but still has a personality. Its metallic embroidered dots are widely spaced, reducing the need to pattern match. And I think top stitching with a metallic thread that matches the embroidered dots of your fabric will add a sparkly and individual element to your project. As you can see here, the weave is open, which makes this an easy fabric to sew, although do take care if you are sewing over the embroidered dots. It's a lovely soft material, and I think a pattern that would suit this well would be the Tilly & Button Stevie dress and top. We have three different fabrics here. We've got the linen look, the twill and the lawn. Because the plain linen look is made from 50% linen and 50% cotton blend, it is a strong structure to it and is wonderfully easy to sew with. As it's a plain fabric, you can easily mix it with other colours and Atelier Brunette fabrics for unique looks, or even use the Atelier Brunette piping available to add a different element to your seams. I have it here in cobalt blue. It's a non-stretch medium weight fabric. If you're looking to sew, say, bags or even, trousers, then this is perfect because it's a really strong, nice, sturdy fabric. This here is the cotton lawn fabric. It's made from 100% cotton. I have it in the ochre colour and it's decorated with these little tiny origami birds. It's really cute. It's a lightweight fabric, so it's not as strong as, say, the linen look fabric, and it also has a much more matter texture, a crisper feel to it. The name of this fabric is Bye Bye Birdie, and you can see why with the sweet little origami birds printed onto the coloured base. This one is in ochre with white motifs. Made of soft light cotton lawn, it's an easy fabric to sew. It would make wonderful shirts with, say, a ruffled hem or pockets, and it would work beautifully to make garments for little ones too. When sewing with this material, you want to make sure you get the right tension on your machine. Because it's a really lightweight fabric, you don't want the tension to be too tight so that the stitches break, or you don't want it to be too loose so that they bag and aren't strong enough. I would suggest trying it on a spare piece of fabric, making something perhaps like a little project, just to make sure that you can get used to the fabric before you sew with it. Now this fabric I have here is the twill fabric called Twig. Usually when I think of a twill fabric, I think of something that's really strong, really sturdy and quite stiff. However, this is nothing like that. Whilst it is really strong and sturdy, it's a non-stitch material. It does have a really nice silky, soft, drapey feel. It has a slight sheen, so it's not completely matte. Because it's not a see-through fabric and it's a twill, I think you could use this for a wide range of garments. The material itself, like I said, is quite soft and silky, so it will suit blouses, it will suit shirts. It will also suit things like wraparound dresses, where you've got some nice flow to it as well. In this ochre colour I have here, the blue and white motifs add a subtle contrast to the deep ochre colour. As you can see, that small splashes are reminiscent of the terrazzo effect, like small drops of paint. This material has an awesome feel about it, and paired with a matching fabric to the motifs will make a wonderfully individual garment. Its twill structure, the diagonal stripes, you can see within the weave. Choose a matching thread cotton to sew with this. It's a strong fabric and the bird of 6573 would be a perfect match. Our last collection is a challis fabric. This here is called Shade and it's made from 100% viscose. It's non-stretch and lightweight to medium weight. It has a much more crisper feel to it than, say, the crepe fabrics and viscose, so it feels a lot more like cotton than say the crepe would. I have it here in the white. This has a indigo blue to sort of denim blue diamond pattern on it. It's like a fractured pattern. Personally, I wouldn't worry about pattern matching this particular material, but obviously it's up to you whatever garment you are doing.
Shade's stiffer texture means that it will press well and will be easy to hold darts within your garment. The dark denim blue is bold against the white background and so will be the perfect match for shirts. I recommend using the pattern New Look 6197. This is a shirt pattern for both male and female. The fabric would suit this style of button shirt super well, and with the pocket features you could either match with this fabric or use a fabric in the dark denim blue for contrast. Even adding a top stitch in another colour would be an interesting detail.
It's a much easier material to sew than, say, some of the shinier viscose materials, but I would still use a really nice sharp needle and pin it as much as you can. This fabric we have here is the Granito fabric. It comes in a couple of other colours, but I have it here in Night. The pattern isn't large, but it's not small either, so if you wanted to pattern match then you could do, but I would suggest getting a little extra material just to be on the safe side. It's made from 100% viscose, it's a woven material and it's non-stretch. It's classed as medium weight, and it's not see-through, so you can get away with not lining this if you don't want to. This material isn't as crisp as the shade fabric, and it still carries that matte texture and look.
A much bolder pattern to this fabric than the seed or the shade. The dark background of this colour makes those earthy colours really pop. It's a nice bold pattern and I would again use this for the True Buyers cami top. Also check out Granito in other colours available, which are a chestnut and an off-white.
Now we come to the Moonstone fabric. I have it here in green. The pattern of the fabric isn't as large or close together as the Granito fabric, so if you wanted to you could get away with not pattern matching this. It's made from 100% viscose, and whilst the shade again is a lot more sharper in structure, this has quite a bit more drape to it, so if you wanted to use it for blouses or skirts, this would be perfect for that.
A soft and drapey viscose rayon fabric, it's full of character and complementary colours. It's a non-stretch medium weight fabric, so you can get away with not lining unless your pattern recommends you do. You can see here how beautiful the fabric it is, it's very smooth. The Simplicity 8657 pattern will make a wonderful pairing for this fabric. It's a caftan pattern and is easily adaptable to make midi length dresses and also tops. You could also very easily add a matching trim to this fabric.
The colour of this one is called green. I would describe it as a really sort of dark teal colour, and it creates a lovely background for the print of the pattern. And last but not least in this selection we have this material, which is called Windy. To me, again, it has a 70s feel to it. It's a rather sort of classic 70s look. It's a nice soft material, it's quite lightweight, it's really quite thin. It's crisper in feel and appearance than some of the other fabrics, and the drape isn't as silky or shiny as what, say, the crepe is.
The pattern of the Windy fabric is inspired by the helicopter seeds that float in the breeze during autumn and winter. It's a lightweight fabric, a little more crisp than, say, the Granito fabric. Again, like the seed fabric, this material is made from 100% Lenzin Eco viscose. The pattern Burda 6573 is a high-waisted button-up trousers, so the texture of the Windy fabric will work well for this pattern, and the print will certainly add a statement element to the garment.
Don't forget you can join the Minerva Craft Club. When you do, you get a 10% discount to use on your next order, and if you create a free account you also get an extra discount that we will send to you. When you do sign up with Minerva, please do get involved with the community. You can post what you've made, you can follow other sewers, and you can save posts and products and tags that inspires you. All the links to the products mentioned in this video is available in the description box below. If you have any questions at all about the fabrics or the patterns, please do feel free to mention them in the comments below. Don't forget to follow Minerva for more videos. You'll find a follow button above this one. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.